car wash, bruh. I need a car wash. And we ain't going to get one. Not today. I have to get comfortable real quick. You like my hair though? Oh shit. I don't get too comfortable. But how y'all feeling today? We back in Noble today. I'm gonna find something in here real quick for y'all. Was the dust just flying out? The disrespect. Oh, the disrespect. The disrespect, bro. The disrespect. My shirt rising up. There you go. Let me find something. What's today's message? It's a car that's right here, just bro couldn't wait. It was a dude with crush. I should have like flipped the camera. I don't want to put nobody business out there. Dude had to get in the car, and bro just could not wait. And then bro got pop. Bro, I want to move my car. Anyway, let me find something. Let me find a message for today. Let's gather around campfire. Oh, I think free will. I'm sorry. Okay, free will. This is page 285 in the Power of Awareness. The question is often asked, what should be done between the assumption of the wish fulfilled and its realization? Nothing. Oh, this is wonderful. Okay. The question is often asked, what should be done between the assumption and the wish fulfilled and its realization? Nothing. It is a delusion that other than assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you can do anything to aid the realization of your desire. You think that you can do something. You want to do something, but actually you can do nothing. The illusion of the free will to do is but ignorance of the law of assumption upon which all action is based. Everything happens automatically. All that befalls you, all that is done by you happens. Your assumptions, conscious or unconscious, direct all thought and action to their fulfillment. To understand the law of assumption, to be convinced of its truth, means getting rid of all the illusions about free will to act. Free will actually means freedom to select any ideal you desire. By assuming the idea already to be a fact, it is converted into reality. Beyond that, free will ends, and everything happens in harmony with the concept assumed. I can of my own self do nothing, because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Father, which has sent me. John 5:30. This is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. In this quotation, the Father obviously refers to God. In an earlier chapter, God is defined as I am. Since creation is finished, the Father is never in a position of saying, I will be. In other words, everything exists, and the infinite I am consciousness can speak only in the present tense. Not my will, but thine be done. Luke 22:42. Oh my goodness. This is amazing. Should I read this whole chapter to y'all? I'm going to read this whole chapter to y'all. I will be is a confession that I am not. The Father's will is always I am. Until you realize that you are the Father, There is only one I am, and your infinite self is that I am. Your will is always I will be. In the law of assumption, your consciousness of being is the Father's will. The mere wish without this consciousness is my will. The great quotation, so little understood, is a perfect statement of the law of assumption. It is impossible to do anything. You must be. You must be. Be is emphasized. You must be. You must be. That is emphasized. You must be in order to do. If you had a different concept of yourself, everything will be different. You are what you are, so everything is as it is. The events which you observe are determined by the concept you have of yourself. If you change your concept of yourself, the events ahead of you in time are altered. But thus altered, they form again in a deterministic sequence starting from the moment of this change concept. You are being with powers of intervention, which enable you, by a change of consciousness, to alter the course of observed events. In fact, to change your future. Deny the evidence of the senses and assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And as much as your assumption is creative and forms an atmosphere, your assumption, if it be a noble one, increases your assurance and helps you to reach a higher level of being. If, on the other hand, your assumption be an unlovely one, it hinders you and makes your downward way swifter. Just as lovely, I'm sorry for my mess ups, I've got a lot coming in. Just as the lovely assumptions create a harmonious atmosphere, so the hard and bitter feelings create a hard and bitter atmosphere. Whatsoever things are pure, just lovely, of good report, think on these things. Philippines 4.8. Well, 4.8. This means to make your assumptions the highest, noblest, happiest concepts. There is no better time to start than now. The present moment is always the most opportune in which to eliminate all unlovely assumptions and to concentrate only on the good, as well as yourself. Claim for others their divine inheritance. See only their good and good in them, and the good in them. Stir the highest in others to confidence and self-assertion by your sincere assumption of their good, and you will be their prophet and their healer, for an inevitable fulfillment awaits all sustained assumptions. You win by assumption what you can never win by force. An assumption is a certain motion of consciousness. This motion, like all motion, exercises an influence on the surrounding substance, causing it to take the shape of echo and reflect the assumptions. A change of fortune is a new direction and outlook, merely a change in arrangements of the same mind, substance, consciousness. If you would change your life, you must begin with the very source, with your own basic concept of self. How to change? Becoming part of organizations, political bodies, religious bodies is not enough. The course goes deeper. The essential change must take place in yourself and in your own concept of self. You must assume that you are what you want to be and continue therein. For the reality of your assumption has its being in complete independence of objective fact and will clothe itself in flesh if you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you know that assumption is persistent in hardening to facts, then events which seem to the uninitiated mere accident will be understood by you to be the logical and inevitable effects of your assumption. The important thing to bear in mind is that you have infinite free will in choosing your assumptions, but no power to determine conditions and events. You can create nothing, but your assumption determines what portion of creation you will experience. Is there more? Okay. See, the thing about that, when I'm reading and I start messing up, is because I'm like learning everything as I'm going. It's like I'm reading it and understanding it at the same time. So mad connections just made in my head. Like I said in the other video, all of this book is doing is confirming stuff that I already know. So it's like mad dots just got, I can't even speak. Mad dots just got connected. So now I'm going to find something else to connect to that message. That was quick and easy. It's raining in New York right now. It is raining. Yeah, it's raining out here now. Let me see. Something to tie into that message. Oh, wow. Thinking fourth dimensionally. This is on page 217. Oh, this is like the beginning of one Out of This World in the Search. Dang, like the first chapter. Right off the rip. Thinking fourth dimensionally. And now I have told you before it comes to pass that when it comes to pass, ye might believe. John 14:29. Many persons, myself included, have observed events before they occurred. Before they occur in this world of 3 dimensions. Since man can observe an event before it occurs in the 3 dimensions of space, life on earth must proceed according to plan, and this plan must exist elsewhere in another dimension and be slowly moving throughout our space. If the current events were not in this world when they were observed, and to be perfectly logical, they must have been out of this world. And whatever is there to be seen before it occurred here must be predetermined. From the point of view of man awake in the 3-dimensional world, thus the question arises, are we able to alter our future? My object in writing these pages is to indicate possibilities inherent in man. To show that man can alter his future, but thus alter, it forms again a deterministic sequence starting from the point of interference. A future that will be consistent with the alteration. The most remarkable feature of man's future is his flexibility. It is determined by his attitudes rather than by his acts. The cornerstone on which all things are based is man's concept of himself. See, there go, it connected. It connected. He acts as he does and has the experience that he does because his concept of himself is what it is, and for no other reason. He had a different concept of himself, he would act differently. A change of concept of self automatically alters his future, and a change in any term of his future series of experience reciprocally alters his concept of self. Man's assumption, which he regards as insignificant, produce effects that are considerable. Therefore, man should revise his estimate of an assumption and recognize its creative power. All changes take place in consciousness. The future, although prepared in every detail in advance, has several outcomes. At every moment of our lives, we have before us the choice of which of several futures we will choose. There are 2 actual outlooks on the world possessed by everyone, a natural force and a spiritual force. The ancient teachers called the one the carnal mind, the other the mind of Christ. We may differentiate them as ordinary walking consciousness, governed by our senses, and a controlled imagination, governed by desire. We recognize these 2 distinct centers of thought in this statement. The natural man receiveth nothing, the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, for they are spiritually discerned. Corinthians 2:14. The natural view confines reality to the moment called now. The natural view, the past and future are purely imaginary. The spiritual view, on the other hand, sees the contents of time. It sees events as distinct and separated as objects in space. The past and future are a present whole to the spiritual view. What is mental and subjective to the natural man is concrete and objective to spiritual man. The habit of seeing only that which our senses permit renders us totally blind to what we otherwise could see. I gotta take a moment, because I don't know, mad messages be coming in when I be reading, but don't this feel like, I don't know, I'm gonna say it though, it feel like one of the moments, you know, like when you have to study, and then when you was done studying, you get to go play and stuff. I feel like these messages with y'all is like I was studying, and then we get to go have fun once we understand this. Once we do our stuff. Like, this is why I love reading and studying, because my mother, she don't have to tell me to read and stuff, but it's like I read and study, and then it's like the universe let me play. Like, I get to go be free and stuff. Like, I don't know. I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry. But anyway, the habit of seeing only that which our senses permit. I'm sorry, did I read that already? The past and future are a present. Hold to the spiritual view. What is mental and subjective to the natural man is concrete and objective to the spiritual man. The habit of seeing only that which our senses permit renders. Hold on, I'm going to start a little bit ahead again. The spiritual view, on the other hand, sees the contents of time. It sees events as distinct and separated as in objects in space. The past and future are a present whole in the spiritual view. What is mental and subjective to the natural man is concrete and objective to the spiritual man. The habit of seeing only that which our senses permit renders us totally blind to what otherwise we could see. To cultivate the faculty of seeing the invisible, we should often deliberately disentangle our minds from the evidence of the senses and focus our attention on the visible state, mentally feeling it and sensing it until it has all the distinctness of reality. So basically, to sum that up, is, by faith, not by sight, Earnest, concentrated thought, focus in a particular direction shuts out other sensations and causes them to disappear. We have a habit of seeing only that which the senses permits render us totally blind to what otherwise we could see. To cultivate the faculty of seeing the invisible, we should often deliberately disentangle our minds from the evidence of the senses and focus our attention on the invisible state, mentally feeling it and sensing it until it all reality. Earnest concentration, thought, focus in a particular direction shuts out other sensations and causes them to disappear. We have but to concentrate on the state desire in order to see it. The habit of withdrawing attention from the region of sensation and concentrating it on the invisible develops our spiritual outlook and enables us to penetrate beyond the world of sense and to see that which is invisible. For the invisible things of Him from the creation of the world are clearly seen. Romans 1:20. The vision is completely independent of the natural faculties. Open it and quicken it. Without it, these instructions are useless, for the things of the Spirit are spiritually discerned. A little practice will convince us that we can, by controlling our imagination, reshape our future in harmony with our desires. Desire is the mainspring of action. We could not move a single finger unless we had a desire to move it. No matter what we do, we follow the desire which at the moment dominates our mind. When we break a habit, our desire to break it is greater than our desire to continue in the habits. The desire which impels us to action are those that hold our attention. A desire is but an awareness of something we lack or need to make our life more enjoyable. Desires always have some personal gain in view. The greater the anticipated gain, the more intense is the desire. There is no absolutely unselfish desire. Where there is nothing to gain, there is no desire, and consequently no action. The spiritual man speaks to the natural man through the language of desire. The key to progress in life and to the fulfillment of the dreams lies in ready obedience to his voice. Unhesitating obedience to his voice is an immediate assumption of the wish fulfilled. To desire a state is to have it. As Pascal has said, you would not have sought me had you not already found me. Man, by assuming the feeling of his wish fulfilled and then living in action on this conviction, alters acting on this conviction alters the future in harmony with his assumption. Assumption awaken what they affirm. As soon as man assumes the feeling of his wish fulfilled, his four-dimensional self finds ways for the attainment of this end. Discover methods for its realization. I know of no clearer definition of the means by which we realize our desires than to experience in imagination what we will experience in the flesh, where we to achieve our goal. The experience of the end wills the means. With its larger outlook, the four-dimensional self then constructs the means necessary to realize the accepted end. The undisciplined mind finds it difficult to assume a state which is denied by the senses. Here is a technique that makes it easy to encounter events before they occur, to call things that are not seen as though they were. Romans 4:17. People have a habit of slighting the importance of simple things, but the simple formula for changing the future was discovered after years of searching and experimenting. The first step in changing the future is desire. That is, define your objective. Know definitely what you want. Secondly, construct an event which you believe you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire. An event which implies fulfillment of your desire. Something that will have the action of self-predominant. Thirdly, immobilize the physical body and induce a condition akin to sleep. Lie on a bed or relax in a chair and imagine that you are sleepy. Then, with eyelids closed and your attention focused on the action you intend to experience in imagination, mentally feel yourself right into the proposed action, imagining all the while you are actually performing an action here and now. You must always participate in the imaginary action, not merely stand back and look on, but you must feel that you are actually performing the action so that the imaginary sensation is real to you. It is important always to remember that the proposed action must be one which follows the fulfillment of your desire, and also you must feel yourself into the action until it has all the vividness and distinctness of reality. For example, suppose you desire promotion in office. Being congratulated would be an event you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire. Having selected this action as the one you will experience in imagination, immobilize the physical body and induce a state akin to sleep, a drowsy state, but one in which you are still able to control the direction of your thoughts, a state in which you are attentive without effort. Now imagine that a friend is standing before you. Put your imaginary hands into his. First, feel it. I'm sorry. Now imagine that a friend is standing before you. Put your imaginary hands into his. First, feel it to be solid and real. Then carry on an imaginary conversation with him in harmony with the action. Do not visualize yourself at a distance and point of space and at a distance and point of time being congratulated. Now, imagine that a friend is standing before you. Put your imaginary hand into his. First, feel it to be solid and real. Then carry on imaginary conversation with him in harmony with the action. Do not visualize yourself at a distance and point. Do not visualize yourself at a distance and point of space and at a distance and point of time being congratulated on your good fortune. Instead, make elsewhere here in the future now. The future event is a reality now in a dimensional larger world. And oddly enough, now in a dimensionally larger world is equivalent to here in the ordinary 3 dimensions of space in everyday life. The difference between feeling yourself in action here and now and visualizing yourself in action as though you were on a motion picture screen is the difference between success and failure. The difference will be appreciated if you will now visualize yourself climbing a ladder. Then with eyelids closed, imagine that a ladder is right in front of you and feel you are actually climbing it. Desire physical immobility bordering on sleep. An imaginary action is which self-feeling predominates here and now are not only important factors in altering the future, but they are essential conditions in consciously projecting the spiritual self. If, when the physical body is immobilized, we become possessed of the idea to do something, and imagine that we are doing it here and now, and keep the imaginary action feeling going right up until sleep ensues, we are likely to awaken out of the physical body to find ourselves in a dimensional world. In a dimensional larger world with a dimensional larger focus, and actually doing what we desire, and actually do what we desire and imagine we are doing in the flesh. But whether we are awakened there or not. Okay, this card is annoying. I don't know. Okay, sorry about that. We are likely to awaken out of physical body to find ourselves in a dimensionally larger world with a dimensionally larger focus, and actually doing what we desire and imagine we were doing in the flesh. But whether we awaken there or not, we are actually performing an action in the fourth dimensional world, and we will reenact it in the future here in the third dimensional world. Experience has taught me to restrict the imaginary action, to condense the idea which is to be the object of our meditation into a single act, and to reenact it over and over again until it has the feeling of reality. Otherwise, the attention will wander off along an associational track, and hosts of associated images will be presented to our attention. In a few seconds, they will lead us hundreds of miles away from our objective in point of space, and years away in point of time. I need to pause for a moment. I need to take my jacket off. And then this car is so creepy. You're probably looking for a spot. I was gonna say it was probably meant to not move my car up, baby. I was gonna move the car up, but then the guy gonna park right exactly in front of me. It was mad space in front of me too, like almost a whole block of, not a whole block, but it was like 3 car spaces ahead, and he gonna park directly in front of me. I wanted to move my car up closer. But oh well, everything happened for a reason. Whew. But I'm glad I read that much to y'all, because now we have a activity to do at the end of this. So now we have an actual action to take now. So we continue. If we decide to climb a particular flight of stairs because that is the likely event to follow, the realization of our desires, then we must restrict the action to climbing that particular flight of stairs. Should our attention wander off, we must bring it back to its task of climbing that flight of stairs, and keep on doing so until the imaginary action has all the solidity and distinctness of reality. The idea must be maintained in the field of presentation without any sensible effort on our part. We must, with the minimum of effort, permeate the mind with a feeling of the wish fulfilled. Drowsiness facilitates change because it favors attention without effort, but it must not be pushed to the stage of sleep, in which we shall no longer be able to control the movements of our attention, but rather a moderate degree of drowsiness is which we are still able to direct our thoughts. A most effective way to embody a desire is to assume the feelings of the wish fulfilled, and then in a relaxed and sleepy state, repeat over and over, like a lullaby, any short phrase which implies fulfillment of our desire, such as "thank you," as though we address the higher power for having done it for us. If, however, we seek a conscious projection into a dimensionally larger world, then we must keep the action going right up until sleep ensues. Experience an imagination with all distinctness of reality that would be experienced in the flesh, were you to achieve your goal, and you shall in time meet it in the flesh as you met it in your imagination. Feed the mind with premises, that is assertions presumed to be true, because assumptions, though unreal to the senses, if persisted in until they have the feeling of reality, will harden into facts. To an assumption, all means which promote its realization are good. It influences the behavior of all by inspiring in all the movements, the actions, and the words which tend towards its fulfillment. To understand how man molds his future in harmony with his assumptions, we must know that we mean by a dimensional larger world, for it is to a dimensionally larger world that we go to alter our future. The observation of an event before it occurs implies that the event is predetermined from the point of view of man in a three-dimensional world. My bad. I just keep, and every time I'm reading, it's like connecting dots, and I'm just thinking about all the stuff I ever manifested, and I don't know, it's just confirming. I'm going to continue. Therefore, to change the conditions here in the 3 dimensions of space, we must first change them in the 4 dimension of space. Man does not know exactly what is meant by a dimensional larger world, and will no doubt deny the existence of a dimensionally larger self. He is quite familiar with the 3 dimensions of length, width, and height, and he feels that if there were a 4th dimension, it should be just as obvious to him as a dimension of length, width, and height. A dimension is not a line. It is any way in which a thing can be measured that is entirely different from all other ways. That is to measure a solid 4th dimensionally. We simply measure it in any direction except that of its length, width, and height. Is there another way of measuring an object other than those of length, width, and height? Time measures my life without employing the 3 dimensions of length, width, and height. There is no such thing as an instantaneous object. Its appearance and disappearance are measurable. It endures for a definite length of time. We can measure its lifespan without using the dimensions of length, width, and height. Time is definitely a 4th way of measuring an object. The more dimensions an object has, the more substantial and real it becomes. A straight line, which lies entirely in 1 dimension, acquires shape, mass, and substance by the addition of dimensions. What new quality would time, the 4th dimension, give, which would make it just as vastly superior to solids as solids are to surface, and surface are to lines? Time is a medium for change and experience, because all change takes time. The new quality is changeability. Observe that if we bisect a solid, a cross-section will be a surface. By bisecting a surface, we obtain a line, and by bisecting a line, we get a point. This means that a point is but a cross-section of a line, which is, in turn, but a cross-section of a surface, which is, in turn, but a cross-section of a solid, which is, in turn, if carried to its logical conclusion, but a cross-section of a 4-dimensional object. We cannot avoid the inference of all 3-dimensional objects. We cannot avoid the inference that all 3-dimensional objects are but cross-sections of 4-dimensional bodies, which means when I meet you, I meet a cross-section of the 4-dimensional you, the 4-dimensional self that is not seen. To see the 4-dimensional self, I must see every cross-section or movement or moment of your life from birth to death and see them all as coexistent. My focus should take in the entire array of sensory impressions which you have experienced on earth, plus those you might encounter. I should see them, not in the order in which they were experienced by you, but as a present whole. Because change is the characteristic of fourth dimension, I shall see them in a state of flux as living, animated whole. If we have all this clearly fixed in our minds, what does it mean to us in this three-dimensional world? It means that if we can move along time's length, we can see the future and alter it as we so desire. This world, which we think so solidly real, is a shadow of out which and beyond which we may at any time pass. It is an abstraction from a more fundamental and dimensionally larger world, a more fundamental world abstract from a still more fundamental and dimensionally larger world, and so on to infinity. The absolute is unattainable by any means or analysis. No matter how many dimensions we add to the world, man may prove the existence of a dimensionally larger world simply by focusing his attention on an invisible state and imagining that he sees and feels it. Imagining that he sees and feels it. If he remains concentrated in this state, his present environment will pass away, and he will awaken in a dimensionally larger world where the object and his contemplation will be seen as a concrete objective reality. Intuitively, I feel that were he to abstract his thoughts from the dimensional larger world and retreat still farther within his mind, he will again bring about his externalization of time. He will discover that every time he retreats into his inner mind and brings about an externalization of time, space becomes dimensionally larger. He will therefore conclude that both time and space are serial, and that the drama of life is but the climate of multitudinous dimensional time block. Scientists will one day explain why there's a serial universe. But in practice, how we use the serial universe to change the future is more important. To change the future, we need only concern ourselves with two worlds. Concern ourselves with two worlds in the infinite series. The world we know by reason of our bodily organs, and the world we perceive independently of our bodily organs. Wow. So now you know. I'm going to go back to so now we have action to do. We have action to do. So tonight, well, every night, because if you, hold on. Was it in this chapter or am I bugging? Like my mind, when I read, I be connecting dots. I know I said that like a million times, but it's true. It's like all the evidence of what's being said is popping up because I already experienced it. So yeah, the first step in changing the future is desire. So we got to know what we want. So know what you want. That's the first step. That's the first step. An event, something will happen. So, okay. First step is to change the future. Okay, so you got to know what you want. Second, construct an event. So you got to imagine what you want to happen as it's happening, and you have to act it out. And then you have to do this thirdly in a sleepy state when you're drowsy, like right before you fall asleep. Now you get that drowsy feeling and you fall asleep, but you were still awake. Or like, you know what that feeling is. When you're about to fall asleep and that weird sensation when reality and dream state mix. Yeah, so you got to do that. So those are 3 actions that we're going to do. And we're going to conduct a study. Well, a hypothesis, a scientific experiment, and test this out. But I know it works. I just need to do it more often. But this is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna come up with what we're gonna find out what we want, and then we're going to imagine it in a sleepy state, and then we're gonna keep imagining it until we actually fall asleep. And that is how we shift our paradigm. We cannot give life to the old paradigm. We have to. So yeah, that's how we're gonna change our paradigm and our realities. What time is it? Okay. But yeah, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Isn't it peaceful? Like, this is priceless. So yeah, as I always say, get this book. It's a 10-book collection. Get this book. This book. I'm reading it with y'all. So that's why when y'all see me slow down, I'm reading. It's like, because I didn't know it was going to say that. Y'all watching me. I didn't know it was going to say none of that. I didn't know it was going to say none of that. So when I'm reading it, it's like my brain is just like, oh, shit. It's understanding as it reads. But yeah. I hope everybody's doing great. I'm about to end the video here. Stay blessed. And remember, you get to create your own future, and you don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for permission from nobody to decide to be a better you. Decide today. We can celebrate, you know? I'm in deep thought again. Like, I'm at peace. I hope this helped you today. It helped me a lot. Yeah. So yeah, I'ma in this video, don't do drugs and don't drink, because it's not wise for kings to drink. You know that, right? Save that for those who want to forget their misery. It's in the Bible. Go look that up though. But yeah, don't drink this weekend, and no drugs. All right? If I ruined your weekend, nah, I might have saved you, and I might have actually changed your life. And go study this. All right? I wish you well. Be safe. All of you. Enjoy your weekend, y'all. Enjoy your weekend. And I'm going to see y'all later. I'm going to see y'all later. Okay? I'll see y'all later. I'm in deep thought. Alright, y'all could go now. I'm just gonna sit here a little while. See y'all later. Oh, y'all could stay? Oh, y'all wanna stay? Okay, bet. Y'all wanna read some more? Oh, we love reading. I gotta get something to eat too. Let me get off this camera. All right, later, y'all.